Russia is amassing a huge army on the border of Ukraine, preparing a possible invasion of Ukraine after the annexation of Crimea by the Russian Federation in 2014. Fighting a war requires a solid economic foundation. In case of an invasion, it is likely that Ukraine will get financial support from the European Union and yet more military equipment supplied by the United States. Russia's nominal GDP of around $1.6 trillion in 2021 is more than 20% lower than Italy's GDP. So if European countries were committed to protecting Ukraine, they could easily defend an attack from a financial perspective. However, Ukraine had a nominal GDP of just around $0.18 trillion in 2021, which means that Russia's economy is more than 8 times larger. Russia's military budget is $61.7 billion, which is equal to 4.3% of its GDP. Ukraine's military budget, on the other hand, is $5.4 billion, which is equal to around 3% of its GDP. Russia, which has a population of 146 million people, has one of the most modern military, with around 1 million active duty personnel and around 2 million reserve personnel. Ukraine, which has a population of 41.5 million people, has just 255,000 active personnel and around 1 million reserve personnel. Ukraine has 2,105 tanks, while Russia has 12,270 tanks, more than any other country in the world. Ukraine has 6,990 armored fighting vehicles. Russia has 26,831 AFVs. Another advantage Russia has over Ukraine is its very modern and lethal artillery. Russia has 18,497 artillery. Ukraine has 3,721 artillery if you just look at the numbers. Russia has 4,359 rocket artillery, while Ukraine has 630 rocket artillery. Ukraine has 326 total aircraft, thereof 70 fighters and 29 attack aircraft. Russia has 5,552 total aircraft, thereof 792 fighters, 832 multi-role, and 880 attack aircraft. Ukraine has 129 helicopters, while Russia has 1,724 helicopters. Russia's military is clearly superior. What will likely deter Russia from an incursion or protracted invasion, though, if enacted wisely and swiftly, are economic sanctions imposed by the West, but most importantly by Europe, against Russia and its wealthiest and most influential oligarchs, many of which have a lot of economic assets in Europe that could be frozen. 25.5% of Russia's products and services are sold internationally. Russia exported goods worth $337 billion in 2020, thereof less than 15% to China. The rest was mostly shipped to European countries like the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and Poland that rely on Russia's resources like oil, coal, and natural gas. However, an invasion would most likely result in the end of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. If fuels for heating are cut off, Europe would make hugely expensive emergency purchases delivered by ships. The EU economy and government budgets would take a huge temporary hit, but they'd survive and ultimately diversify away from Russia. In case of an attack, it is possible that Russia will get excluded from the SWIFT payment system, which would be a huge hit. Even if not all countries agree, the US could unilaterally influence the international SWIFT payment system, preventing most countries from trading with Russia effectively. Russia might compensate some of its losses by increasing trade with China, but it would almost certainly result in a very deep recession. The big geopolitical rift between the East and the West would grow even bigger. Very hard borders populated with many troops would spring up between Europe and Russia. A very dangerous setup. The Cold War would once again be in full swing. The question is whether the cost of an incursion is high enough to deter Russia from further aggression. The unity of European nations and the support they show towards Ukraine will be key.